Welcome to class, and I hope everybody is doing well today. We will talk about comparative adjectives and superlatives. During this video, we will focus more on comparative adjectives, and in the future video, we will talk more about superlatives. So, today we're adding a layer of complexity to things we learned in the past. In previous classes, we learned about adjectives. We learned that an adjective is a word that describes the quality of a noun, right? It tells you the size, tells you a color, it tells you a state. During those lessons, we learn about adjectives that are purely adjectives, like colors. We also learn about adjectives that stem from verbs, and we also learn about adjectives that stem from other nouns. Here are three examples of such adjectives. The red car is near the water hydrant. Red is a color. By itself is an adjective. Burnt steaks taste awful. Burned, it's a verb. Now we use it as an adjective, right? So the participle form of a verb may also be used as an adjective. So it describes the state of that steak that was sitting on the fire for a bit too long. Then, that watery gravy needs more starch. We know how water looks, we know how water feels. So to say something is watery, it's because it preserves the properties of water. So on previous lessons, we learned the use of those three modalities of adjectives. During this lesson, we will now compare nouns. For that, we will use comparative adjectives. So what is a comparative adjective? A comparative adjective is there to, as the word says, compare two things. We are looking at the qualities of one thing versus the quality of the other thing. We may also look at the quantity, but that's a topic for another day. That lesson was done during English for All. Pause to read. Now, the key element here is how many syllables are there? What is the ending? So, if it's a word that has less than two syllables, we will use the suffix er, pronounced er. If the word has more than two syllables, we will use more or less. Also, note that some words that end in y will also have the er. So that's something to take a note. So here on the examples, Sarah has a big dog. So we see that this dog is big, but then Nancy has a bigger dog. That means the size is significantly larger. Again, using a comparative, right? So we have something big, and then we have something bigger. Again, in bad English, more big. Now, on the second example, it says, Macy's is more expensive than J.C. Penney's. Here, the use of more is correct. So we have expensive, a lot of money, but there is a place that you spend even more money, right? So using the same theme, right? Macy's is more expensive than J.C. Penney. So at Macy's, you pay $20 for a wallet. At J.C. Penney, you may pay $15, and then at Ross, you may pay $10. right? So Macy's is more expensive than JCPenney. JCPenney is more expensive than Ross. Now, as always, there's going to be an exception to the rule, and there's going to be irregular forms. So the irregular forms here are for the good and bad adjectives. So we do not say gooder, we don't say badder in standard English. In standard English, we say better or worse. So if I want to say something, again, bad English, more good, we don't say more good or gooder, we say better. So cool water is better for the body than soda. Smoking is worse for your health than eating bacon. Pause to read. Here are a few examples. This apple is red. This rose is red. But if we look at the intensity of the color, the apple has more red than the rose in this picture. So we can say that the apple is redder than the rose. Both of them are red, but one has more color than the other. Thus, the apple is redder than the rose. Here are two more pictures. Patty is young. She's a toddler. But Pepe is younger than Patty. Pepe is an infant. So we see that yes, Patty is young, but compared to Pepe, Pepe is younger, right? So again, we're comparing two children. We're comparing the age of two children. Patty is young, she's a toddler, but Pepe is younger than Patty because he is a toddler. If we go back to the previous example, we talk about red as the amount of color. Here we talk about the youth. Now let's try. So pause to try. I hope everybody was able to catch it. We might say Marge is taller than Jane, and that Jane is smaller or shorter than Marge. Did everybody get it? Here is another example. We have a brick wall and we have a wooden fence. A brick wall is more durable than a wooden fence, but a wooden fence is less durable than a brick wall. Again, we are comparing two things and the amount of durability. For example, if we look at Roman ruins, they are made of brick and mortar. They are still there. However, Viking settlements were made of wood and straw. They no longer exist. So we can say that brick is more durable than wood. If we look at, for example, the Egyptian pyramids. The Egyptian pyramids are made of stone. We can also say that stone is more durable than wood because the shacks made of wood that were exposed to the environment are no longer there. Here is another example. New York City is more populated than St. Andrew. So if we look at both pictures, we see that St. Andrews may have 2-story, 3-story houses, narrow streets, a bunch of trees. But if we look at New York, it has a lot of skyscrapers. It has a lot of tall buildings. It has wide streets. It has one-way streets, something that St. Andrew may not have. So looking at this picture, we can say that New York is more populated than St. Andrew. On the other hand, we can also say that St. Andrew is less populated than New York. So we're comparing two human settlements. We're comparing New York and St. Andrew. We're saying that one has more people than the other. That's what populated means, more people. So let's try it out. The house is, pause to participate. So I hope everybody got it. So the house is more beautiful than the shack. The house is more expensive than the shack. And so on and so forth, right? This is very simple, so we will do an activity. So for this activity, you're going to create a comparative sentence using the following adjectives. So as you learned during the brief presentation, you're going to create a sentence with each of these using the comparative form. Make sure you correctly attribute ER or more than to the sentence. Pause to copy. All right. So once you're done, please share your answers with your teacher. Put the answers on this ViewSonic so everybody can see. Share your answers with your classmates. The next activity, you're going to ask at least 3 people about certain things. So here are a few questions that you're going to ask 3 people in the classroom. If you are in Zoom, you will be placed on breakout rooms. Pause to copy. Once everybody's done, please share your answers. Our guest teacher will ask you and you will answer back. Thank you.